Well, I guess we are now recording topic 3. Does time fly? Uh, and this is human origins and fossils. And of course, I am very much aware that this is not supposed to be a biology class. And in fact, some of you, if you knew there was any biology involved, would probably not take the class. However, I would like to suggest to you that we are human because of the combination of our biology as well as our cultural and social behavior. And so consequently, if we're going to be studying our ancestors, if we're going to be looking at human behavior from the beginning, we have to take into consideration some aspects of our human biology as well. And in this case, when we go back some 4 million years or so, actually we're going to start a little bit before then, we find that there are major changes which take place in our biology. What defines a human being? Certainly that is something that Fagan covers, and I cover this in the lectures as well. In fact, because the information is so complex, what I have tried to do is to outline the major information that is found in Fagan in the lecture notes. These are to assist you in understanding the information. He gives a huge amount of detail, and what I've tried to do is to focus in on some of the important points, some of the important characteristics of human ancestors or possible human ancestors or those related to human ancestors. So we're looking at their characteristics, but also at the changes which occurred in some of these characteristics. And I think that the lectures will give you a pretty good background. You'll notice that I've divided the information that is in chapters 2 and 3 amongst topics 3 and 4. Topic 3 focuses on that information which is part of human biology and the fossil record, whereas topic 4 focuses on those same chapters but looking at human social cultural behavior. I just think it's so much easier to separate the two. Especially at an introductory level, not even always at an introductory level. Even if you're aware of this information, it's just nice to make the separation. However, we need to always understand that we are subject to this ecological approach. So human socio-cultural behavior was again taking place in the context and complementary to or in response to or whatever word you want to put in there with human biological change as well. The two go hand in hand, but for purposes of understanding, I have separated them. I have tried to choose some video assignments which provided a little bit more of a background of changes that occurred in the fossil record. Some of them are very focused on a particular kind of fossil, and others are more general. Noting that some of you are in the arts, I've also included a video, very short video, on reconstruction of what these individuals look like. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, these are the fossils, and it's hard tissue to begin with, so we're looking at fossilized bones. But you know, when we see each other every day, we're looking at each other's faces, face to face. We don't imagine what the skeleton is underneath that person, or maybe we do. Hopefully not all of the time. And so consequently, I think it's fun, but it's also very instructive to know that these were individuals with faces, with personalities, with individual needs, who of course worked with other individuals to form cultures and societies, and that were part of a biological breeding population. How you access video information, whether it's the information from the archaeology channel, which was in the previous topic, or the information that's on YouTube, or certainly these commentaries are found on YouTube. That will depend upon what you're able to do with your particular computers. I've tried to assist as much as possible In some cases, maybe it's just easier for you to go to the particular website and then in your search box to type in the title of the particular video. In other cases, perhaps it is more useful to just go to the sections that I have included wherever possible on the actual, especially with YouTube, the actual connection code, which when you click on that, not only brings you to the YouTube website, but also brings you to the particular video involved. You may have to wait a little bit for the thing to download to your computer, so sometimes I find this little moving circle against a black background, but I have to be patient and wait. And other times I just get so impatient, I just go to YouTube and then I type in the name of the particular video and I'm on my way. Whatever works for you. Just be aware that I am not just picking these videos up to waste your time. That's not it at all. I'm trying to find appropriate videos among the absolute sea of really cheesy stuff that's out there. Of course, I'm making a decision as to what's appropriate or not, but hopefully through all these years, maybe I have some experience and knowledge as a professional archaeologist who has studied these materials that I can perhaps be a little bit more selective and find things for you that enhance your knowledge of particular information. I have very little time left, but it occurs to me right now that I just want to make just a little comment on modern culture and how we interpret the fossil record. And I think some of you think that I'm going to go to the evolution creation controversy. Actually, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to the discussion of how people manipulate information about the past. In the year 2000, I was able to, and had actually the privilege of being invited to be part of a session at the World Archaeological Congress in Cape Town, South Africa. And it was just a very exciting Congress, and I was talking about the work we had done at Edinburgh to open up the subject of archaeology and archaeological experience to all students. Believe it or not, I've had students who are visually impaired who have done archaeological work and very successfully done archaeological work in the field. You just have to be able to be adaptable. But that's an aside. When I went to South Africa and Cape Town, I discovered something I'd not been aware of. I had been partly aware of it. I've been partly aware that archaeological information had been manipulated by apartheid-era archaeologists working in South Africa to fit whatever the particular party line was at the time in interpreting the past. And part of that understanding of the past was that in the textbooks, in all the school books, in the discussion of history, whatever may have been associated with the discussion of the past, it was generally agreed upon and proposed that history really started with the coming of the Europeans. Was it Vasco da Gama? And certainly there were no indigenous populations in South Africa prior to the coming of the Europeans. And so all of history stemmed from that. So if you think about that, if you've got something that's 1,200 or 1,300 years old, Makungubwe, for example, proposed as a World Heritage Site, that doesn't fit. I mean, here we're talking about a major cemetery with Chinese porcelains included in it, right? Suggesting that this culture in Southeast Africa was having some aspect of trade relationships, directly and indirectly with China, that this culture existed, went against the prevalent idea that there were no humans in South Africa prior to the coming of the Europeans. And yet the fossil record goes back millions of years. All of that was ignored. So keep that in mind. I'll probably come back to that subject of Cape Town and that idea. By the way, the archaeologists young archaeologists that I was working with in South Africa for that Congress, part of their job was to rewrite the history books, to start with that fossil record that went back millions of years. Quite an interesting task. I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.